fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. 2 weeks back, I discussed the original Jurassic Park, but now I think it's time to discuss one of the negative aspects about the original film's legacy: the sequels. We have to start somewhere, so let's start with the best one. Alright, so the first Jurassic Park was a hit for Universal Studios, which of course meant merchandising was important. Yep, toys, games, and rides soon arrived on the scene, and the movie had built up a strong legacy, which also contained some not-so-great aspects to it. See, by the release of the original novel, fans begged Michael Crichton to write a sequel, which he initially refused. However, after the first film had been released and was a monster hit, he eventually did start work on an actual sequel to Jurassic Park named after Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, which would be followed up by a film adaptation in 1997, which would be directed by Steven Spielberg. Though not as well received critically, it was an enormous hit, which made over $600 million. However, what are my thoughts? We're gonna find out today. This is The Lost World, Jurassic Park. John Hammond, played again by Richard Attenborough, summons chaos theorist Ian Malcolm, played again by Jeff Goldblum, to his home with some startling information. While nearly everything at his Jurassic Park had been destroyed, his engineers happened to have a second site, where other dinosaurs were kept in hiding. It seems the dinosaurs on the second island are alive and well and even breeding, and Hammond wants Malcolm to observe and document the reptiles before Hammond's financiers can get to them. You know, for the amount of crap I give these sequels, I will admit that this is easily my favorite out of all of them. This was the only one that involved Steven Spielberg as director, and the only one that involved John Williams' composition. It also had a great tone, good effects, and a pretty awesome finale. Now, it's not all good, because frankly it's not all that necessary, and there are some aspects of the movie that are problematic to me. But other than that, it's the only flat-out good sequel to the original movie that I can find myself rewatching, so let's discuss why that's the case. Now, in regards to characters, Ian Malcolm is still the greatest thing ever. This time, he's promoted to the main character, like he was in the novel. This time around, he loses his sense of happy charm, but retains his sense of morality. He also loses the mullet and glasses in exchange for a nice 5 o'clock shadow. Jeff Goldblum is really the thing that makes this character special, and I thought he did a spectacular job to bring Ian alive again. So, there's not much else to say about him. I really like him in this movie. Now, as far as the other characters go, I really like Sarah Harding, played by Julianne Moore. She's independent, but she also felt like a real character, and you can tell that she very much does care for Ian in several scenes. These two were nice to see together, as Moore and Goldblum have spectacular chemistry. Ian's daughter Kelly was also pretty cool. She has her shining moments, such as the flip-kicking a raptor, but she's not all that special to me other than the fact that she's Ian's daughter. That's about it. As far as characters go, the only other one that I'd say actually works for me is Roland Tembo, played by Pete Postlethwaite, who was interesting to me because he's a big game hunter who wants to collect the T-Rex as a trophy, but ultimately realizes that what he's doing to these animals is wrong, and splits off from his original job to do something different. Other than that, I have nothing good to say about any of these other characters. The villain Peter Ludlow isn't as interesting as a villain, and that's all I really have to say about him. Nick and Eddie were okay, but didn't do too much to warrant a discussion. The entire hunting group is just generic, and John Hammond is only there for plot reasons. Yeah, only true good characters are Ian, Sarah, and sometimes Tembo and Calvin, but the rest are kind of generic, and that's not great. As far as the dinosaurs go, the standout ones to me are the raptors and the T-Rex. The raptors are far more vicious than before, and there's more than one T-Rex this time around, and they easily had some of the best scenes in the movie, such as the cliff scene, and the cave scene, and the climax through the streets of San Diego. If you want some standout T-Rex moments, come to this movie to find them, because they are highly underrated and some of the best parts of the movie to me. So yeah, the dinosaurs are obviously great, and are some of the highlights of the movie to me. In regards to the effects, there's once again a mix of practical and visual effects, and they mesh together well, and they look great nearly 30 years after the release of the movie. They're not as impressive as the ones from the original, but they are definitely great, and I will always think so when I watch this movie. As far as the music goes, John Williams returns with a similar style of score that he used during the first movie, and I think it worked out great. Granted, I don't remember it as well as I do the original, but that's neither here nor there to me. It still works with the movie, it's highly underrated. And finally, we have the tone. It's more fun compared to the original, but it has frightening and thrilling moments such as the tent scene, the long grass scene, the cave scene, and even the finale. They were all cool and sometimes scary, and I had a good time watching them. So yeah, this is a shorter review because I don't really have that much to say about the last one of Jurassic Park. It isn't as good as the first movie, nor does it feel as necessary, but I still really enjoy what it has to offer. It's not perfect, but it is a pretty damn good follow-up to something that didn't need a good follow-up. Which is why I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. An underrated fossil that deserves more attention. So that's it for this review. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments below, and tune in next week for another review. With that said, my name is CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is your wrap. See you next time.